This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we take a look at some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning. We also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 15th of October 2021, and I am AX.
I'm Serbia.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. We begin with the Daily Nation. Shameless MPs. We now move on to the Standard. Kin of slain athlete cry for justice. Very sad story.
Exactly.
Move on to the Star. Raila still trails DP RUTO in 8 central counties survey. And finally, the People Daily, return of Raila. So, Serbia, what would you have to tell us today?
The last few weeks have been monumentous for Baba. Azimio la Umoja has taken off and just left dust behind for Tanga minions. And the enigma Agwambo Woodtinga has done this without proxies or allowances. It is just week 3 since Baba started campaigning na amefinya mtu wa kuku sawa sawa. Hustlers cannot believe the fear-mongering they have peddled about him is past its due sell date. Na kitaendelea kuumana. This time, with Baba having support of GEMA honchos, his gospel will spread like wild bushfire. However, even as it may be Baba is gaining ground, we are a bit concerned. We want to offer constructive criticism. The view from the outside is always clearer than from the inside. So here goes. Baba, some points in your manifesto about the 6K welfare money and 4 cabinet positions suggest your insiders are beginning to get to the program. But really, they do not need to reinvent the wheel. Uhuru has already laid a solid foundation with his legacy to transform Kenyans from earners of wages to owners of capital.
Indeed, yeah.
With so much going right on your side, it will take true genius to get it wrong. Consider some of these unsolicited thoughts. Your proposed stimulus package of 6,000 is a vote of confidence in Uhuru Kenyatta that we are on the right path of economic acceleration to achieve sustainable growth. So now that you want to build on his gains, why not take it further? It doesn't just have to be the vulnerable groups being protected. Everyone else can be included, and we can have a comprehensive welfare program in which all citizens have a stake. This is what will elevate the country. Secondly, with just 297 days to the election, we think you are doing right by bidding your time in revealing all your cards. Unlike some of your allies who read the mood on the ground from their offices, you have gone to the grassroots level to see how you can improve your manifesto. Machiavelli reminds us that when you get into power, do all the bad things at once. But allow me to remix this piece of advice. Do all the bad and good things at once. And your best bet is to handpick a great team in order to build momentum on what has already been started. The old saying about show me your friends and I will show you your future works in politics as well. So aim to surround yourself with people who share the same ideals as yourself. Those who see the bigger picture and recognize that something needs to be done. And they will do it to the best of their ability, whether or not they are rewarded. Beware of the hang-ons who want to use you for their short-term ambitions. So, congratulations for dropping dead weight like Day and Wanjige. Leave your options open. And finally, as you continue your campaigns, remember the second law of the 48 laws of power. Do not put so much trust in friends and learn to use your enemies. As we know, politics is the game of the possible, however improbable. In the book, Team of Rivals, Abraham Lincoln was able to be the most successful president in US history because he possessed an extraordinary ability that few possessed. He could bring hostile opponents together and marshal their talents for the prosperity of the nation. So you don't need to like the person you choose as running mate. Instead, master the art of shrewdness, Baba, and overlook offense and personal slights. And unlike Oka mandarins who are waiting for endorsements while giving motivational speeches, you already have the endorsement in your pocket. To summarize the 3 points, you are already ahead.
Wow.
I like that remix. Do all the good things and the bad things at once.
Incredible, yes. So I'd actually like to follow on from your very succinct conclusion that Raila is already ahead. And today I would like to respond to the Star headline.
Yeah.
As we know, the Star headline
Curious
is
headline.
Raila still trails DP RUTO in 8 central counties, says survey. The headline quotes a recent survey from Radio Africa that suggests that RUTO continues to lead the way in GEMA as Raila trails behind. According to the survey, RUTO is leading the presidential race in GEMA with 57% of the support. Meanwhile, Raila only has 11. Now, if the survey is to be trusted, this does not look good for Raila.
Nope.
However, the survey is rife with mischief. So allow me to expose the Star and answer 2 questions. 1, is the survey reliable? And 2, if it is not, what is the Star trying to do? Addressing the first question, it is glaringly obvious that this survey is not reliable, and I say this for 2 reasons. The first is that the survey is not reliable because its methodology is not reliable. Radio Africa only asked 1,000 people, or 0.017% of GEMA. This is hardly representative of the over 6 million GEMA votes. This sample size is not enough to capture the sentiment of a mountain, let alone the sentiments of a pebble. Second, the survey is not reliable because its conclusions are incomplete. The Star deliberately examines the conclusions in isolation of an earlier survey in August 2021. Another survey conducted by Radio Africa. When the 2 results are read together, a very different story emerges. Raila is not trailing behind. Instead, support for Raila is growing. In August 2021, it stood at 6%. 2 months later, this had almost doubled to 11%. This is absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, according to our surveys, RUTO support fell by 13%. What does this mean? As Raila grows more popular, RUTO becomes more unpopular. And yet the Star reports that Raila is trailing behind, planting the seed that RUTO's victory is inevitable. Obviously, some mischief is being conducted. But why? Is it possible, is it because RUTO may own a stake in the Star? And if so, is the Star trying to nudge voters in his direction? Influence the choices they would make subtly by planting the idea that it is not worth supporting Raila because he is not popular. All this is to ask, is the Star acting as a choice architect, manipulating our choices by manipulating the context in which they are made? You see, a choice architect is an individual or an organization that curates the options available in order to make one option more desirable than another. And a nudge is when the choice architect alters people's behavior in a predictable way without forbidding any options. The messaging by the Star that frames RUTO as a forerunner is a nudge to voters to select him as a preferred candidate in 2022. But what the Star does not realize is that we are on to them. In the end, I must remind the Star that it is better to have bad news that is true than good news that you made up.
Wow. You know, AX, I'm going to continue on this conversation because I found that Star headline completely confusing.
Exactly.
So I too was drawn to the headline. At face value, the headline would, as AX has said, have you believe that the gap between RUTO and Raila is insurmountable. But the headline has failed to really show us what the numbers truly represent. It left me with more questions than it actually did with answers. So allow me to share some of those questions for you. Question 1. Does Raila actually need to lead the way in GEMA? What if his goal is to ensure that RUTO does not obtain full GEMA support? Support that RUTO desperately needs if he has any chance of becoming president.
Yes,
Remember,
true,
in the past 3 elections, Raila has received 44% of the national vote. Keeping this figure constant would suggest that he is only 6% away from becoming our next president in 2022. This could suggest that he doesn't need 5.6 million votes. He just needs to split a small percentage of GEMA to ensure his own victory.
Yes.
In fact, I feel the deputy president should be a little worried because he has been openly campaigning for the last 4 years, while Raila has not officially declared that he is even running. And yet has already gained momentum in a region that RUTO believed to be a slam dunk.
Excellently put.
Not to mention that today, Raila was in Eldoret as well. And seeing by the reception that he received, maybe RUTO should also be worried about his own backyard. Just saying. This leads me to my second question, which AX you touched on a bit. Cui bono, who would benefit from a headline like this? Common sense would suggest that the headline has an owner. It does. And the owner of it is using the reach of the Star to manipulate our public's opinion. Why do I say this? Because although the Star reported that the rate of undecided voters was at 16%, they also hid this fact somewhere at the bottom of the headline.
Yes.
Placing it at the bottom of this article. Honestly, it would be easier to find the holy grail. Clearly, the Star is trying to hide something from the viewers. By the Star not telling the full story, they are nudging your opinion in one direction because they do not want you to see what the numbers represent, which is sustainable growth for Raila Odinga. Anyways, we have a three-part criteria that we use to judge these headlines for you. We ask ourselves these questions. Number one, is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? Or finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? So let me reread the headlines for you. This time many of them are very short. Daily Nation, shameless MPs. Okay, The Standard, kin of slain athlete cry for justice. The Star, Raila still trails DP RUTO in 8 central counties according to a survey. And The People Daily, return of Raila. I, for one, would, based on our own submissions, say that the Star is out of the running.
Yes.
The Standard, though it is a topical topic, it's a very sad story. I don't think I would select it as the winning headline. What do you guys think about the other options?
Repetitive.
Repetitive.
Yeah, I think they're talking basically about the same thing.
Not inspirational.
Especially the Daily Nation, not at all inspirational.
Okay, so according to you guys, we have no winning headline.
None at all.
No winning headline. You may toss the papers. Okay, so on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a three-part criteria that we use for you. We ask ourselves, is the cartoon humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or simply plain lazy? So, AX, why don't you take us through the Daily Nation?
All right, today in the Daily Nation, we have a rather interesting, if not mundane, cartoon. In it, we have the cartoon depicts an alligator as a politician in Parliament, literally crying crocodile tears, asking voters how low they want the fuel prices to go. Now, the relevance of this is that the National Treasury has released 24 billion from the Petroleum Department to fund the low prices. And to be honest, I think that I do applaud the Daily Nation for trying to maintain a continuity between the headline and the cartoon. But equally, this cartoon is not relevant. It's kind of boring, and it just it's not inspired. Yes,
it's a little relevant, but it's not inspirational on my view. Okay, so I'll take you guys through the Standard. We have a comic strip. Okay, I'll do my best to read it for you. Okay, so we have some politicians standing, like an African here, and what I would assume to be a Chinese man on
based on the flag in the back.
Based on the flag, I'm not gonna say based on the features drawn.
Based on the flag.
So the African says, China is going to make its vaccines available to Africa. Second, China is going to supply 100,000 technicians and engineers for different projects.
Yes, projects.
Okay, then you have some sort of guy collecting notes at the back.
He's a journalist.
Yeah, it's probably a journalist saying, when is Africa going to start making its own vaccines? Second, how many Africans is China going to train? And then he's beaten up by some people. And the guy walks away with his Chinese counterpart and says, sorry about that, my people can be very rude, but we are dealing with the problem. Cartoon has made me chuckle a little. I don't think it's necessarily true in what they're saying, but it got me a bit of a chuckle, but meh. Yeah. What do you think? Serbia, why don't you take us through the People Daily as our final cartoon?
Okay, so we have 3 characters in my cartoon. We have Raila, Uhuru, and Baby. Is it an infant or a toddler? Anyway, the cartoon depicts Raila and Uhuru discussing how their new baby will be a third liberation. However, they are not sure whether the liberation will survive in today's political environment. That's why Uhuru, I think, is asking, Baba, will he survive? Baba is like, that's my new baby.
Yeah. I think the liberation is strong. This baby looks
moving.
very healthy, to say the
But
least.
isn't it also
very
that the
plump.
baby is white?
No.
I feel like the baby is rather light skinned.
It's a bit more light-skinned than we'd anticipate. However, I think that was
it has just been born, perhaps.
Okay. But I guess you can say it's not that inspiring of a cartoon either. So I don't believe we have a winning cartoon either. So we're on a day when we have no winning headline and no winning cartoon. I'd just like to remind you guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on your TV screens. Find us on Pang Free to Air, GoTV and Star Times. Have a fantastic weekend.
Good night.
Good night.